confirm you can hear me.
Yes,
hello guys.
Morning.
Oh, fantastic.
Good morning,
I think
Tony. Can
good
hear you.
morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's good to have you guys joining. We are about 22. Okay, I think it's a good place to start. We actually planned for 20. Even though we have the panelists now part of it, but I think it's a good place to start. Others will join us. Okay, just give me a sec. So to our panelists, we have 7 of them. I'll be reading a bit of their profile in a bit, but I'll just set some context before we go ahead. If I can you move to the next slide, please. So this is our agenda. We hope to be out of here in an hour max, right? So let's see how much we can put out. So we'll discuss white tech. We'll talk about some of the job roles that we can aspire to, and then we'll have our panelists come up. But before I start, let me just do a brief introduction of our panelists so that we are clear about what to expect. One of our panelists is Chima Okereke. He heads the Information Security Governance Risk and Programs function in one of the tier 1 banks here in Nigeria. You see that his role is a mouthful, right? Chima holds an MBA in he holds an MBA, and then he has several other certifications like PMP, ITIL, and he's a lead implementer in ISO 22301. Now, he has had a very interesting career, and that's why we have him as one of our panelists. He started out as a system administrator. He moved to corporate banking and then credit. For those of us who are in banking, you will understand what I'm talking about. And then he moved into project management and now cybersecurity. I particularly like his diversified career path because, again, aside the fact that it positions him for C-suite roles, several of them, it's a source of comfort for some of us who are coming into tech, maybe from finance, from sales, right? So for those of us who are coming in from these other departments, Chima is your man, and he will be providing a whole lot of context and guidance on how to go about transitioning. Ife is not a new face to us. He's one of our faculties. For those of us who have been following our sessions, he leads the cybersecurity operations team in a tier 1 bank here in Nigeria. He's a CISA, he has CISSP, he's a lead auditor, among several other certifications. Then I have Anthony Ajiboye, who is a senior manager in charge of governance, risk, and control with a tech firm in Canada. He has also had an interesting career that cuts across banking and consulting. He's a CISA as well. Tony, if you're here, thank you for joining this morning. I think it's 5 a.m. in Canada, and we appreciate the sacrifice. The reason I'm particular about mentioning these certifications which they possess is not to intimidate us, but to let us know that these things are achievable. I recall someone asking from the survey we put out what the role of certifications have in growing your career in tech. So again, we'll be answering those questions in the course of our session. Then we have Olakunle, who is an accounting graduate with also a diversified career base. He started out in telecoms as a customer experience professional and has transited to tech risk. He's a CISA, he possesses the seasoned certification and currently works in the UK. Sheyi is not a new face to us too. He is one of our faculties. He heads the IT audit function in one of the foremost fintechs in Africa. Certifications, CISA, CISM, CEH, amongst others. Then we have Tope. Tope interests me the most. She is an English graduate that works as an IT auditor in a tech company here in Nigeria. She is such an inspiration. We've not met, right? We've just been interacting on LinkedIn and on the WhatsApp group. Tope epitomizes the can-do spirit. She reinforces the fact that, look, there is nothing impossible once you set your heart to it and you are willing to make the necessary sacrifices. She has, she's a lead auditor in the ISMS 27001. She's preparing to sit for her CISA exams. I'm positive that her insights will encourage some of us that are new to tech and wondering how do I transit. And then I don't know if Ruke is here, but he's also one of our panelists. He works with a Big Four consulting firm in the UK. And since he attained his CISA certification in 2018, he has, well, I'll say he has become hotcake with working in at least 6 different institutions across different industries: banking, insurance, consulting, oil and gas, manufacturing. He will be sharing with us the role of certifications in accelerating career growth. So the question that I'm sure will be on top of our minds is, why tech? Why switch to tech? The industry is growing and is growing very fast. The demand is high for technical skills and the pay really isn't that bad. A growing number of mid-career professionals are choosing to take this leap into the tech world in search of either a fulfilling or exciting career. And again, I don't think the pay is that bad, right? So I'll say that it's basically the opportunities that lie therein. With the right variables, I like to think that it's a fast route to the top. There are also more C-suite roles today, which we'll be discussing in a bit, available for tech folks. There is hardly any institution, right, that is ready to grow to scale that does not require technology. There is hardly any serious institution or serious organization looking to enhance operational efficiency, right, that is not thinking automation or digitization. Again, that's tech. So to facilitate these, there are tons of roles, both technical and non-technical, from business analysts to project managers to software engineers to data scientists to enterprise architects, governance specialists, etc. So that's on one hand. Now, with the increased digitization and automation, either to scale up operations or improve operational efficiency, those things come with risks. And that's where you have your tech risk professionals, GRC manager, IT auditors, IT controllers, IT risk, cybersecurity professionals. Under the cybersecurity profession, you have the red team, those people who you will call the penetration testers for both network application. These are people who basically mimic an attacker, right? You also have the blue team, who you call the threat hunters. They engage in digital forensics, infrastructure protection, etc. You call them your defenders. And then you have the purple team that sits in between the red team and the blue team. This is where you will find governance, like what Chima does at the moment for a tier 1 bank, managing that interaction between the red and the blue teams and their effectiveness. So I think you also find even the security architects within the purple team. So guys, the tech sky is wide enough for all we tech birds to fly without colliding. My advice would be to pick a spot and be the best you can possibly be. One of the, or part of the considerations for picking that spot, one could say, is identifying a tech role, identifying tech roles that are either in demand or perhaps are industry agnostic, right? And just follow through, right? So can you move to the next slide? There are a couple of roles that you can actually aspire to as a tech professional. So you have the Chief Information Officer, you have the Chief Information Security Officer, you have the Chief Technology Officer, you have Chief Innovation Officer, you have Chief Data Officer today, and even the Chief Audit Executives. Again, like I said earlier, depending on the variables that you choose to throw in the mix, you're positioned for any of these things. So I like to think that we're in a good place. So without further, I think it's time to go into the panelist session, right? So do we have Chima is here? Stopper here? Anthony, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I'll need you guys to turn on your videos if you can, right? So that our guests can at least put a name to the faces. Kunle, thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Anthony, thank you for joining. Thank you. Chima, thank you. Okay. All right, so we'll go to the questions now. And Tope, will be starting with you. How did you venture into tech? You're an English graduate. Where did this whole thing start from? What was the motivations for going into tech? And in answering that, do you see a future for yourself in tech? What will you say are your tech aspirations? And I'm asking this on behalf of some of our friends on the session who are wondering, what are these guys talking about? Is there a place for me in this thing? You know, I have colleagues in the office who, when you mention anything technology, they just go wondering, look, this is not for me, and stuff like that. So talk to us.
All right. Thank you, Tony, and thank you everyone on the call. I think this is a nice place to be. And also I would like to start by answering the question. So how did I find myself in tech? So I would say that if I go back 10 years, I would also sit somewhere and say, oh, maybe this is not possible. But knowing myself helped me transition into tech. And I think that is one thing anybody considering to go into tech should do. Know yourself and know your strengths first. So I started as a writer, and I got a job as a sales operations officer. So I was really very into operations, and I really loved the idea of being an operations officer. So I got an opportunity to work as an IT operations officer. And I went for the interview, knowing that I didn't have any IT background. I went for the interview still, and I was asked if I had any IT background. Sincerely, I told them no. So till today, I still don't know why they chose me for the job. But I got on a job that I knew nothing about, only operations. And I had to use my strengths to leverage what I had to do. So I had a lot of people on my team that were IT experts, but here I was being just the only one that had the operations experience. So it was more like I used what I had to get what I want from them. So they were more or less IT experts, and they weren't really good with operations. So one thing about moving into tech is always be open to learning. Always be open to learning. You have to evolve with whatever time you find yourself in. So I was open to my colleagues and I told them, guys, see, I do not know anything about this stuff. I need you guys to help me. And these were interns, and I got in like I was supposed to be ahead of them. So I was open enough to let them know that even if you guys are interns, I'm willing to I'm really willing to bow to you teaching me how to do things. So I was open. I knew myself. I knew that I was good with operations and I could help them out with this. And also I was open to them teaching me things about tech that I didn't know. So I was open to learning and I started learning, and I got the knowledge. I started doing a lot of YouTube, a lot of Udemy, a lot of learning on the job, which is very important as well from my colleagues. So at that time, as an IT operations officer, we had to learn about IT policies and a lot more about the processes of secure development, which at that time I was very open to learning and using technical tools as well. So this was how I started. I started as an IT operations officer. So I'll move to the importance of mentorship and leveraging opportunities. So first thing I mentioned is that helped me transition is knowing myself, knowing what you can do. And that's what will really sustain you. Because if you do not know yourself, you can venture into so many aspects of tech and you'll be frustrated because you go out of it. So knowing yourself first is number one. Then finding a mentor. Going into tech is a journey. So, and at every point in time, you would need a mentor. So I found myself a mentor in my department as an IT operations officer, and I began to work with him, and I knew what I was supposed to know. And I also leveraged on his own knowledge. And when the time came for me to be recommended, I got a recommendation to become an IT auditor of my organization, knowing that I could do it. So I got this recommendation, and it was more opportunity, more challenges for me because I needed to upskill. So I started another learning. So like I said, you would always need to learn. So if you are someone that you are in that space and you feel like, oh, okay, you do not want to enlarge in that capacity, you might find it a little difficult. So for me, I did a lot of self-learning and also leveraging mentorship. So basically that's how I got myself in tech.
Okay. Interesting. A few things I'm taking out from what Tope is saying is know yourself, understand the capacities you possess, be open to learning, be deliberate about acquiring knowledge, right? And then you talked about the role of mentorship, because this is somewhere you're new to, right? And mentorship played a key part in getting you to where you are. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tope, for that insight.
Okay. I think I left out two questions. Let me quickly, in like 2 minutes, answer that.
Okay, 1 minute more like it.
Okay, all right. Okay, you asked if I see a future in tech. Who doesn't? I think you said it's a large space and it's growing. And like right now, everybody is seeing the relevance of IT experts. So this is a time for us to get on it and move on a high speed, like move and leverage on whatever we have to prove ourselves that we are really the ones that is needed in this time. So I see a future in tech, and I want to grow to become a cybersecurity expert. So I don't know how you see KnowBe4, for example, but I want to be part of that team that would have a KnowBe4 in Nigeria. And I think it's doable because we need such thing in this country. I think we do. So for my tech aspirations, like I said, I want to become a cybersecurity expert, and I also want to become a chief audit executive in a top audit firm. So I see that happening really because I'm building myself towards
Sure.
getting it.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You know, years ago, right? And for those of us who, and I'm not throwing any shades at accountants. Kunle is smiling. If you were not an accountant a couple of years ago, you were like a leper, right? You were not chartered. Those were the big guys. And today we have accountants who are transitioning to tech, right? I dare say that it's our time. And yes, like Topper said, we need to milk it and take advantage of it to better our world, right? Okay. Our second question is, and that will be, so this goes to Ife and or let me say Anthony first. You guys, you have multiple certifications in the tech risk space, just like I was reading them out. What will you say is the relevance of certifications in growing a tech career? 1 minute, right, Tony?
Thank you very much, Tony. I normally say certifications are just validation of knowledge, right? So when you have these certifications, it shows that you have some level of understanding about that area where you are saying that, yes, I can actually function in. So you're applying for a job or you're going for a job interview and you bring a CV up with all the old experience. I have 10 years experience in IT audits, etc. That certification gives you that edge to say, yes, he's not just bluffing. He has demonstrated some level of compliance in some way. Somebody has vetted this particular candidate and demonstrated that, yes, he has the knowledge is saying. So in my own career, essentially, I've realized that if you don't have that first, should I say, referential reference to say somebody is unholding you and recommending you to say, yes, Anthony can actually perform as an IT auditor. What you have is that certification to push you to that door, to get you that interview. So some people have that reference at hand to say, yes, I can, so someone can refer them and say, yes, this person can actually assume that role. But others, if you don't have that reference, how do you demonstrate to say, yes, I can actually do that particular role, aside from other English you put on your resume? So across my career, as I grew up the ladder, moving from industry to organizations to sectors, those are the things that have actually helped me to demonstrate that, yes, this person has that basic knowledge of that particular role. Then you can now go into an interview and demonstrate that skill or experience that you have, right? So getting to the door has been that, yes, correct.
Fantastic. So you're basically saying that it gives you get into the room because you have those certifications, right? It opens the door for you. Staying within the room is a totally different conversation, but at least it opens the door for you. If you want to take a stab at this, same question. What role? You've got multiple certifications, CISSP, CISA.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. So I'll be as what Anthony said earlier on, Anthony Ajibori said earlier on, is actually as in the meat of it. So Anthony spoke about the certifications being as in that thing as that allows someone to look at your CV for a second time, or even allows them to even shortlist you for an interview. He also spoke about as in that the certification allows you to be able to prove your competency within a particular space. But aside from those two, also the other part that I want to talk about is that certifications also allows you to also learn. So say, for example, I have, as my bachelor's degree was in computer science. I also did a second degree also in computer systems and networking. So all my life I was primed to become a network guy, as a network administrator. As my first job role was as a network administrator, system admin guy. However, I now found myself within internal audit. Then I needed to, first of all, upskill, and then also prove as that I could even perform in that role. So going for the CISA certification, because I had done the CCN, the CCNP, and then the likes, but learning how to audit, learning how to perform within that role that I found myself in required that I went back to learn. So going for that CISA certification allowed me to understand the principles of auditing, the steps to take when you're supposed to audit, introduced me into information security, introduced me into other areas of information security that I wasn't aware of. I was about providing service before, about putting the lights on, but I was now coming into a space where I needed to provide assurance. So going for the certifications, the CCN, the CISA, the CISSP, and then the likes, allowed me to be able to understand what I was supposed to do as an auditor, because thinking as an auditor is different from thinking as an operations person. So as that's one thing, so in any space that you find yourself in within IT, because there are loads of certifications, from the systems guy to the cybersecurity person to the as a development person, as in the DevOps person, there are several certifications. As in what these certifications do for you, aside from what Ajiboye spoke about, is that it actually provides you with that basic knowledge that you need. As that basic knowledge as that enables you to be able to function very well in that role. So as that's what certifications does. Then most importantly also, it allows your CV, it allows your CV to stand out. As in your experience counts a lot. However, can you actually perform on that role? And the only thing that can tell, the only standard that we all have as a reference point are these certifications. You have several certifications bodies, from ISACA to ISC Squared to Cisco to Juniper. All these are standards. So when anybody comes to you and tells you that I'm a CISSP, at the basic level, he understands what information security concepts are. He understands what he's supposed to do as when he's faced within a problem as that has to do with information security. So that's what a certification does for you. Yeah. Hello, Tony, I'm done.
You're on mute though, Tony.
Hello, Tony, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, I had a bit of a network blip. All right, thank you, thank you. So what I take away from what yourself and Anthony has just shared is that, one, certifications are a validation of knowledge, right? And they also provide you an opportunity for learning and expanding perhaps into other roles. Now, taking us to our next question, because you talked about the several domains that are in the tech space. Some people are confused and they are wondering, where do I start from? Tech is wide, right? Tech is wide. You have data science, you have cybersecurity, you have cloud administration, you